here you can see I'm practicing on my swatch, which I highly recommend that you do because duplicate stitch is a little bit hard to rip out. So I've already done some practicing here. And I recommend to mark where you're going to stitch. There are two ways of doing it. I'm going to show you on the swatch in a minute how I use it using a fabric marker, like a disappearing, it automatically will disappear. Or you could do something like this. So for example, if I want to stitch in between these markers, I can make a border here. So I just put removable stitch markers going under, you know, some legs of one row of stitches so I can kind of keep that centered and keep my place. It is removable to take out duplicate stitching, but it's not very fun. So I would just recommend marking it so that you're careful and you know what you're doing. So let's stitch up over here. So I'm gonna take my fabric marker, which again, really good to practice it on a swatch to make sure that it doesn't bleed around or it doesn't show through or anything like that. Again, it should disappear, so you can try it and within 24 hours it should be gone, but again, we're gonna be stitching over it, right? So I'm gonna come over here and you wanna mark some V's that you're interested in stitching. So I'll do over here. So let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you can hopefully see that where the purple is. And then I already have my yarn here ready to go. I'm just gonna do a couple of stitches, so I don't even need this much length. But yeah, I recommend not working with too long of a length because it will drive you a little bit crazy. You can always weave in those ends later, and plus once you've stitched something in here, it's really not going anywhere. So the first thing you're gonna do is bring your needle up through the base of this first V that you want to work from the back, or if you're working on the door mitts, from the inside of the mitt, of course. So up through just the base of that stitch there. And then, again, I'm not doing that many, so I'm not gonna pull all of my slack through. So there you go. So we're gonna work this first stitch that I've marked here in the purple. So to do that, we're actually gonna skip that stitch, go to the stitch above it, and from right to left, insert our needle into, or under, both legs of that stitch above it. Just like that. And pull it through. And again, why I recommend trying this on a swatch is that you don't want to pull this super, super tight. You want it to be, you know, lay flat against there, but watch your tension. So then we're going to come back where we started, kind of into this base, scoop our needle down in there and up. You'll kind of grab a little bit of your base yarn there. And again, pull it through, and there you can see we have our first V. So that was really easy. So let's do it again. So we're gonna work vertically here, always working vertically. So we have this next stitch we wanna work, so again, we're gonna skip it, go to the stitch above it, right to left under both legs, pull the yarn, go to the base of that stitch where we started from, kind of scoop up in the middle. Sorry, this is hard to do. I'm looking at it sideways here for the purpose of the video. And pull it through. And there you can see again, we have our second V. So let's keep going vertically. I'm gonna do 2 more here. So skip the next stitch, under both legs. Pull it through. From bottom to top, up into the base of that same stitch, pull it through. Let's do 1 more, and then I'm going to show you how to kind of work to the side. So under both legs, up from the bottom, pull it through. So there you go, and you can kind of tug on that and make sure that you're happy with how it looks. Yeah, so that's basically that. So let's say that we want to work over to the right, Because we're not always going to be working up. So first of all, let's just wherever your yarn is coming out of, just poke it back through to the inside or to the back of your work and pull it through, because we're gonna, every time that we go to the side, it's like starting over again by bringing it through the back. So again, I'm gonna grab my marker and I'm gonna mark some stitches right next to it. Great, so the good thing about duplicate stitching is that you're mainly working it on, on the surface here, so I like that you don't have to go from the back too often, just when you're moving it over here, because it can be kind of hard to find the right spot. So, yep, into the base of that first stitch that we marked, and then, there you go. Once again, you're gonna skip that stitch, go to the stitch above it, under both legs, pull it tight. Into the base and up, kind of grabbing that, just a little piece of the base to keep it secure. There you go. Skip the next one. Again, this should be, when you're looking at it, it should be obvious. I hope you can see it okay. Yeah, there you go. So I actually, duplicate stitching gets a bad rap. Some people don't like it. I find it really meditative, actually. And I think it's a really beautiful finishing touch. What's really nice about it is that if you want to add something afterwards, you know, you can stitch words on this way. You can stitch on, you know, any design that you sort of chart out and want to work. So yeah. So let's say, so I'm just going to finish this stitch. Let's say, you know, I'm not happy with how that looks, or oops, I did this in the wrong spot. What do you do to take it out? So, like I said, it's a little bit of a hassle to take it out, so I recommend being careful, but mistakes do happen, or if you're just not happy with the look of it. So, what I recommend is actually taking your needle off of your working yarn, so you have less to go through. And then I take it out leg by leg. If you're only going back a little bit, if you have to rip out a whole thing, I would just go in very carefully, of course, with some scissors and start to cut these, the loops on here. But let's say we want to take out what we just did, so we just did this leg. So I would just sort of work my needle under there. You can use your fingers or whatever you want to do and just pull it out that way and unravel it. Same thing over here. Kind of grab the last leg that you did, pull it out like that to unravel it. And then when you've come back to where you want to work, of course, you can just rethread your needle and keep going from there. So that is duplicate stitching. And as you can see, you know, it creates a really pretty effect, especially if you're using, you know, sort of a plain background like we are here. It's a little bit raised up, so it adds some extra texture. I love it. I hope that you love it. So happy stitching, and I hope you enjoy your Doris mitts if that's what you're making. Okay, I'll see you next time in the next tutorial. Bye, guys.